Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on today's show, we got a jam-packed lineup for you with the top Texans storylines. First off, could the Texans sign any of the newly released Miami Dolphins? Because they went ahead and just did a whole spree of releases yesterday. I'll tell you who they cut from their roster and if the Texans could potentially sign those players. Also, Titus Howard, is he not playing right tackle? Is his days playing right tackle done with? Well, I'll tell you why that could possibly be the case with a lot of the recent mock drafts and free agency rumors around the Texans. And then lastly, I'm going to address the CJ Stroud trade rumors. I keep on getting people sending it to me. Todd McShay recently put out a podcast where he dropped CJ Stroud as one of the top trade candidates of the offseason. So let's discuss a CJ Stroud trade and why it won't or maybe will happen. You'll have to find out at the end of today's show. Before we get going, though, shout out to the Noti Gang. If you don't know what the Noti Gang is, that's somebody who is one of the first 5 commenters on a video that I dropped. I made a video yesterday on Monday, and these 5 people were the first 5 commenters. Shout out to Jay Scribb, Brandon, Steven, Giovanni, and Sleepy. Not sleeping on my videos, though. Shout out to the Noti Gang. If you want a shout out on a future video, well, join the Noti Gang. That means you have your notifications turned on. 3 easy steps to do that. First, all you got to do is you got to hit that sub button. Then you click the notification bell and then select the all options. So whenever I drop a video, you are one of the first to be notified and hopefully are one of the first 5 commenters on my video. If you're brand new to the channel, make sure you hit that sub button and the noti bell. And then also, this is how we break down our stories and rumors on the show. If you're a first-time watcher, thank you for tuning in to Texans Today. I basically use this Toro Heads meter to break down stories. 0 heads, fake news that's not happening, all the way to 4 Toro Heads where H-Town hold it down. It is happening. Without further ado, let's get into the first story on today's show. The Texans, are they signing any of these former Dolphins players? I'm only going to give it one Toro Head, small shred of truth, and I'm saying it's a possibility, right? There were 4 key guys yesterday that the Dolphins cut ties with. Defensive end, Bradley Chubb. Offensive lineman, James Daniels, Tyreek Hill, the wide receiver, and then another wide receiver in Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. And I got a lot of people sending me this, tweet, sending me these articles of these guys getting cut and saying, Jeremy, could the Texans sign one of these guys? Could the Texans go ahead and sign a Tyreek Hill, a James Daniels, Bradley Chubb? Not a lot of people mentioning Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, but I thought I'd throw him in there as well. I know he's not the most notable name on the Dolphins roster, but he still did get cut yesterday from Miami. I want to know from you, though, would you sign any of these former Dolphins players? And if so, which one would you want Nick Caserio to sign? Go down in the comment section and let me know right now which of these former Dolphins, if any, that you want the Texans to sign. And the number one name that a lot of people are going to talk about, the number one name I guarantee that y'all are looking at on this list, Tyreek Hill, wide receiver. Now, he had a gruesome injury that finished off his 2025 season where, similar to the Tank Dell injury, he had 2 separate injuries to his knee. He dislocated it, and I believe he tore the MCL or ACL in his knee. It was a gruesome injury for Hill. So his road to recovery, I don't know when he's going to be able to get back, if at all. There's rumors that he might even try to retire this offseason. I don't think there's a way that he's ready to go week 1. If anything, I think he's a guy that maybe isn't signed until the start of the season, and you see those videos of him working out in week 3 or week 4 of the regular season, and you're like, oh, could X team sign him? I don't think we can talk about Tyreek Hill for at least a little bit. I don't think the Texans would be interested, but also I don't see him getting signed anytime soon until he's at least able to clear a physical, pass a medical evaluation. And like I said, there are rumors that he might also just retire this offseason. Next up, let's talk Bradley Chubb. Could the Texans go ahead and look at the edge rusher? 8.5 sacks this past season. Not bad for Chubb. I just think with the Texans wanting to invest a lot of that money into Will Anderson Jr., he's up for a contract extension. It doesn't really make sense to go out and spend money on Bradley Chubb. I don't think he'll command a market like he did formerly in free agency, but still, a guy who has 8.5 sacks, he's going to have a market this offseason, and I don't think the Texans are in the market to sign or pay big money to an edge rusher, so Bradley Chubb probably out of the equation. The only one that really makes sense to me on this list is offensive lineman James Daniels. Now, you notice it says 1 game played. Had a pec injury in week 1 up against the Colts this past year, which basically sidelined him for the remainder of the season. So the only stats we can go off of really are his 2024 stats with the Pittsburgh Steelers, where you're like, oh, wow, these numbers are great, Jeremy. A 92.9 PFF grade, a 92.5 run blocking grade, only 1 sack allowed. Oh my gosh, Jeremy, sign him up today. You got to look at the top of the screen. Only 209 snaps in 2024. He suffered an Achilles injury that kept him out for the better half of the 2024 NFL season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's why the Miami Dolphins were able to sign him for pretty cheap, considering how good he played for Pittsburgh. It's a risk. Obviously, comes with a lot of injury concerns. The past 2 years only played a handful of games. So what kind of athlete are you looking at James Daniels? He's still 28 years old, but, a lot of question marks around him. I'm okay with the Texans signing an offensive lineman, maybe a James Daniels, another guy in free agency. But no matter what, I don't care what moves they make in free agency, they still need to invest in the offensive line in the draft. Maybe not the first round pick, but in the first 4 rounds, I think no matter what, you got to take 2 offensive linemen if you're the Houston Texans. You need to replenish that depth. You need to replenish that talent at the offensive line spot. And if you have, a ton of great guys, a lot of good options, that's a good problem to have. If you have a lot of good offensive linemen, that's a great problem to have in the NFL. So I don't care if you already have your starters set. Go out and draft linemen in the first 4 rounds of this draft and let them compete with a Jake Andrews at center. Let them compete with if you sign a guard in free agency. That's fine. And even if the guard that you sign in free agency doesn't end up starting, I'm okay with that because you need to get the 5 best guys out there that you possibly can. And I don't think you can do that if you're not drafting offensive linemen in this year's draft. Now, coming up, speaking of offensive line, Titus Howard. Are his days playing tackle over in the NFL, or at least for the Houston Texans? I'll tell you why I think that possibly could be the case coming up in just a moment. But, fellas, I'm about to turn 30 this year, the big 3-0. And not going to lie, it's hit me like a wall a little bit, right? New Year's hit, the ball dropped, and it kind of dawned on me, I'm turning the big 30 this year. Now, shout out to today's sponsor, Mars Men, because, hey, they're able to help you out. I don't know if you knew this. Most men start losing testosterone around age 30, about 1% every year after that. Insert Mars Men. It supports healthy T levels, energy, and stamina. 8 naturally clinically dosed ingredients. And guys, I'm telling you, it'll make you feel a little bit better, a little bit more energized, not so worn down. It is made in the US of A and 90-day money-back guarantee. So if you don't like it, not a lot to lose, right? At least try it out. Go get it today. Because like I said, with that 90-day money-back guarantee, there's not really any risk. Worst case scenario, you don't absolutely love it and you get your money back. But over 91% of users report higher energy levels. Thousands of guys are feeling incredible results. Just check out the reviews on the website to see for yourself. For a limited time, our listeners get 50% off for life, plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. It's a perfect way to kick off the new year strong. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts at checkout. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about it. Please let them know. Texans Today sent you over. One more time, it's mengotomars.com. 50% off plus free shipping and 3 free gifts. All right, next up, Titus Howard. Is he not playing right tackle for the Houston Texans this next season? I'm actually going to give this one 2 Toro heads, and I'm going to say it's about a 50-50 shot that Howard is not going to play tackle this year for your Houston Texans. Now, we all know Titus Howard, he would prefer to play right tackle, his most comfortable position along the offensive line. A lot of predictions, though, around the Texans are around adding a tackle in free agency or the draft. So the question remains, will he continue to play guard? Because every time it looks like he's about to play tackle, the Texans bump him back into guard, right? He's never really got a fair shot at being the right tackle for multiple seasons because out of necessity, he continues to have to go back into playing guard, maybe swing over to left tackle. He plays all along this Texans offensive line. But throughout all the mock drafts that I've broken down and talked about on the show, A lot of them have the Texans taking an offensive tackle in round 1. And I know a lot of these guys, you could say, oh, they can bump into guard, this, that, or the other. But, I mean, if their normal position's right tackle and Titus Howard's on the roster and he's shown you he can play guard, it might be worth kicking him back into guard and letting these guys play their natural position at right tackle. And then you have your bookend tackles moving forward for the Houston Texans with Ursary at left tackle and one of these guys at right tackle. Monroe Freeling, Caleb Lomu, Blake Miller, Caden Proctor, Max Ahinachor. All these guys have been mocked to the Houston Texans, and all of them play that tackle position. Also, ESPN just released an article with the top 50 free agents and their best fit. Only one person named to the Houston Texans. That was Braden Smith, right tackle for the Indianapolis Colts. So if they went ahead and made this move, for sure they wouldn't go ahead and put Titus Howard out there at right tackle. They would probably insert him at guard or maybe even make him a trade or cut candidate at that point, depending on what they do in the NFL draft. But with Ed Ingram as a free agent, Trent Brown as a free agent as well, a lot is up in the air for this Texans offensive line. So will they go ahead and move Titus Howard back into guard, or will they keep him at tackle? It's going to be very telling what the Texans do in free agency and during the NFL draft on what they have planned for Titus Howard moving forward this next season. Coming up, we have a CJ Stroud trade rumor to break down. But before we do, I wanted to give you one last chance to go ahead and get your St. Patrick's Day merch in time before St. Patty's Day. All you got to do, go to chatsports.com/HOU Green. Join the Houston drinking team and get our brand new t-shirt here at Texans Today. I want to go ahead and drop a ton more merch here on the channel, but my boss said, hey, Texans Today viewers got to show out. They got to show that they want the merch. So if you are in line for a St. Patrick's Day shirt, if you need a green shirt to make sure you don't get pinched, well, go get it right here, chatsports.com/HOU Green. That link will be down in the comment section and description of today's show. Go check it out. Go get your Houston Drinking Team shirt and get all of the shirts that we break here at Texans Today, because I'm telling you, I have a sick Will Anderson Jr. t-shirt. I'm just ready to drop it, and I want to prove to my bosses that y'all show up and show out. So if you could, go head over and get our Houston Drinking Team shirt. All right, last up on today's show, do the Texans want to trade CJ Stroud? Fake news. Woo, woo, woo. Fake news meter. Fake news meter. Woo, woo. Yeah, not happening. I've had so many guys in the office ask me, Jeremy, could the Texans trade Stroud? I heard Todd McShay in a recent podcast say the Texans could end up trading CJ Stroud, this, that, and the other. I'm not discrediting Todd McShay. He does have ears close to the ground and have, a lot of different guys around the NFL that he talks to. And I'm sure teams have inquired about trading for CJ Stroud. But everything around the Houston Texans leads me to believe there's no way they're trading CJ Stroud this offseason. 3 reasons why. There's no other good QB options. I've talked about it on the show before, right? What are you going to get? Kyler Murray? Get Tua Tagovailoa? Sign Aaron Rodgers? None of those guys bring a ton of confidence more than CJ Stroud. Of course, after this past year's playoffs, a lot of people are out on CJ Stroud, but still, what are the other options? There's nobody really in the draft. I don't think there's a clear path forward for the Texans, who right now are in win-now mode going into this next season. Second reason, Stroud's value is at an all-time low. What are you going to get for him? Are any teams willing to trade a first-round pick for CJ Stroud? Probably not, and you're telling me as a Houston Texans organization, you're going to trade a guy who could possibly be a franchise quarterback for a second-round pick, a late first-round pick? That makes no sense. And then, lastly, this front offense, this Texans coaching staff has showed nothing but confidence around CJ Stroud. If they were thinking about moving on from Stroud, I don't think they play him the second half of that Patriots game. He threw 4 interceptions up against New England. They kept him in the rest of the game, and even after the game, all of his teammates, everybody around this coaching staff, this front office, has put their full support behind CJ Stroud. So I don't think there's a world where the Texans go ahead and deal Stroud this offseason. It just doesn't really make any sense to me personally for them to go ahead and make that move. And I don't see, reading the tea leaves, seeing what the Texans are doing and seeing how they're operating, I don't think there's an avenue for them to trade Stroud this offseason. That's all I have for you on today's show, folks. If you want to hit me up on X, you can do so at Jeremy Chuggs. My DMs are always open. And if you made it to the end of today's video, well, what are you waiting for? Go down and hit that sub button for free Texans content all offseason long.